Story 1. I spent so long focusing on surviving that I never really figured out what I want. I guess I wanted a nice clean house, a comfortable bed, and regular dental checkups. Well, here we are. Story 2. COVID impacted my job and it has not recovered yet. I make good money, but only because of the long hours. Story 3. Money, fear of failure, and the feeling like it's too late now. I'm willing to work hard for others, but not for myself. Story 4. The fear of failing, or even worse, disappointing myself has held me back for so long. I am scared I am not enough or that I will not live up to my own expectations. Story 5. Mental health involves not giving up before even trying. I need to be more resilient and manage my finances effectively. Story 6. Disability involves a lack of accommodations from society. Please allow me to work from home on days when my body says no. Additionally, please provide accessible housing. Story 7. Nothing sold our house, got rid of 90% of our belongings, and moved to the Pacific Northwest. It was the best decision ever and I couldn't be happier. Story 8. Nothing. I live every day as if it's my last because it very well could be. Many aspects of me that used to work just fine when I was young don't work well anymore. My hair has stopped growing on the top of my head and mostly grows out of my ears and nose now. My hearing has faded along with my desire to hear everything. There are times when I appreciate the quiet. I wear hearing aids when I feel like listening. The experiences I used to have are now a distant memory. It may not be true, but it's a fact of life now. But today was a beautiful spring day. I walked a couple of miles around a gorgeous lake in the bright sunshine. I saw a couple of snowy egrets, a flock of mallards, and a pair of mated otters playing together. Then a flight of a dozen Canada geese flew low just a few feet overhead before splashing down. I could hear the wind rushing over their open wings as they landed. They are on their way back north now that spring is here. I can tell by all the wildflowers blooming everywhere. There were bright orange California poppies, white-petaled and gold-centered daisies, and purple lupins scattered along both sides of the trail I was following. I caught a fish from that lake just yesterday, and we had it for dinner last night. I love fresh fish, especially the ones I catch, and that one couldn't have been any fresher. My partner told me this morning how much she enjoyed it. I'll catch another for her soon. I installed a new oven today, as our 20-year-old one finally died. I repaired a sticky drawer slide that had been bothering my wife for years. I refilled several hummingbird feeders on my way out the door to see my doctor for some skin cancer issues that needed attention. It was a 30-mile round-trip drive to a nearby city and back, including passing through a dozen traffic lights along the way. Today, every single one of them but one was green as I approached them, and I rolled right on through. Felt like a small victory of sorts and put a smile on my face. That's what my version of making old age tolerable is. Small victories, green lights in a row, noticing the wildflowers, appreciating the sunshine, and making someone I love happy, if only for a moment in time. It makes those moments precious to me. Every single one of them. Story 9. Money is always a concern. I do not have a high level of education, and I was born into a low-income family. If I could, I would run my own native bird rescue and rehabilitation center. I would have a spacious property to build everything I need, and I would spend my days rescuing birds. I would also hire staff and have volunteers to gain work experience in the animal industry. But unfortunately, I have to work in entry-level jobs. Story 10. I have a dream. I haven't found that person yet. I spent too long with the wrong person, which is on me, and now I'm too old to find the man I dream of. Story 11. The people who were supposed to take care of my disabled brother but aren't, and the system that allows them to neglect their responsibilities without consequence. As a sibling, I've had to step in repeatedly because others who were paid or appointed to help have failed him. And it's not just about him, it's about the ripple effect. Siblings like me are quietly drowning while trying to keep someone else afloat, with no safety net and no backup. There's almost no support for adult siblings of people with disabilities. We're invisible in policy, in programs, and in public conversations. But we exist. And many of us are carrying far more than we can handle because walking away would mean abandoning someone we love. someone the system has already abandoned. It's wrong. It's lonely, and it needs to change. Story 12. Finding my person. I want to be a stay-at-home mom with some chickens and a couple of kids. However, I don't think that's a realistic option for Generation Z, and I may never have that opportunity. But I would love to stay at home and make sandwiches for a family I build with someone. Story 13. Wages and housing by state. To match the buying power of a high school graduate, you would need over $50, if not $60 an hour starting without experience. Functionally, capitalism, systemic poverty by design, anti-intellectualism of the masses. Story 14. I want to live near my family, who are 1,200 miles away, but my husband refuses. He controls major decisions because he has the wealth. I cannot manage on just my income. Story 15. It is now time. I have a successful career, an amazing family, and I am also a YouTuber. All I want in a day is more time. Story 16. It is quite challenging to immigrate to Ireland. I suppose we will see how things progress, but I really love it there. Story 17. Mostly my job. I am afraid to leave it because I will not make the same income anywhere else or have the same low hours. I earn $90,000 per year before taxes and work 2 days a week, sometimes 3. However, the work is so mentally taxing that it takes me 4 or 5 days just to recover from the few days of work. I worry that I will not make this kind of income anywhere else, and that fear keeps me from leaving. It has reached the point where they are considering firing me because it shows I do not want to work, given how often I call in sick and the limited hours I have. I have a meeting in an hour and I might be fired. Story 18. I believe that earning a little more money would be beneficial, although not significantly. Additionally, finding the right people to share interests with and spend time together is important. Most of my closest friends and family are now scattered across various locations, including different states. Story 19. A life partner. I have worked hard for a long time and own a couple of successful businesses, but it seems I cannot find my partner in life. Everyone just leaves, and I guess that is on me. Story 20. I have many positive things in my life right now. Good friends, hobbies, a nice place in a city I enjoy, and a well-paying job. However, I would like someone to share this life with. Life is good, but I want it to be even better with someone by my side. Story 21. Mainly money. However, I could be much happier, even with my financial struggles, if I could find some people to spend my free time with instead of worrying every moment I'm not working about how I will pay my bills. Story 22. My broken body leads to crippling depression, struggles to hold a full-time job, and ultimately prevents me from being able to afford the life I want. Story 23. I am an only child. I was fortunate to have loving parents and a good childhood. My father has chronic pancreatitis, epilepsy, and diabetes at 69 years old. My mother passed away last June. He is all I have, so my priorities are set aside until my duty as a son is fulfilled. I gave my mother my word to care for him on her deathbed. Story 24. Every time I make progress on self-improvement, my life, my husband, or my family seems to work hard to make things difficult again. Story 25. It's money, not anything else. What stops me from getting paid? I lack the instinct that others have, the intelligence of those who earn high amounts without aggression, and the physical presence of those who sell their bodies for money. I am painfully average, but I can dream. Story 26. I am pushing myself and working hard toward achieving my life goals. I have already accomplished some of them. One day I will have the life I desire, and I will get there one step at a time. Story 27. My mind often feels overwhelmed. I have ADHD, which leads me into prolonged periods of feeling stuck. To be honest, I am unsure about what I truly want. Story 28. Rampant poverty and social inequality affect society as a whole. I do not mean this only for myself. Society tends to rise or fall as a unit. Aside from a few fortunate individuals and those propped up by the system to pacify the masses, most people in the modern world will struggle due to the oversimplified notion of money. Story 29. I took in my family dog, so I am staying to give her the best life possible. After that, I will work on boats and travel. Story 30. My stepson's mother loves the boy, but I dislike how his behavior changes every time he returns home from visiting her. We struggle to take him anywhere for 4 days a week after we get him back because it takes him that long to calm down. Story 31. Mainly the money. I don't know how else I am supposed to eat dinosaur egg. Story 32. I would love to have a software development job that I studied for. However, several years after graduating and due to the random paths I have taken, I find it challenging to secure any job right now, whether in my field or not. Story 33. Haven't met the one yet to create the life I desire. For now, I am just focusing on building myself up for when I do meet her. Story 34. Money is important, but I've also lost several significant family members in the past few years. The life I want includes them being a part of it, but that's life, right? Enjoy it with the people you have while you have them, and while you're here. Additionally, I find myself dreading waking up to read the news about our current government. Story 35. Chronic pain is making it difficult for me to work any job. I have a 2-year degree in design, but my area doesn't offer many opportunities in that field. I have been experiencing chronic pain in my neck, back, and knees for 16 years. It causes trouble sleeping, dressing, cleaning, and doing everyday tasks, leading to anxiety and depression. As a result, I am facing serious financial difficulties. Story 36. The fact that I was a 10-year-old playing Minecraft and Call of Duty zombies instead of investing in real estate. Story 37. It's strange. I want to go hiking and exploring, but I just can't find the motivation. Story 38. Money is the most obvious issue, but corruption is also a significant factor. Those who have succeeded in life often pull the ladder up behind them, and as a result, we are all suffering. Story 39. Will anyone care to read my long answer? I don't know anymore. I'm blessed with a great family. My parents are together, and I have never had to worry about food. My cousins, grandparents, uncles, and brothers all get along, and we see each other regularly. I am 29 years old and have had my own version of a tough life. Yet, in comparison to most people I know, I have so much more and have had an easy life, too easy. I don't have to pay my parents' rent. But I'm disabled. I can hold down a job, but I don't. I had a girlfriend until recently and broke things off because I felt I wasn't getting enough from her. She agreed, and I tried to end things on good terms. But the wounds are still fresh. It all comes down to my immense lack of self-worth, self-care, laziness, and confidence. I was just thinking about this before coming onto this platform, and I don't know why. I say it's because I have a safety net to fall back on if I make mistakes, and therefore the danger of sinking in this pool of life is non-existent. If true failure isn't a real fear, and I never have anything to worry about, could I ever truly grow? I think having overprotective parents is partly to blame. I am autistic, sure, but I know plenty of other high-functioning autistic people who are drastically more mature, grown up, and well-off because they had to grow up. What's my excuse? So, I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, so what? So does most everyone else, it seems. Is it my lack of responsibilities? How can I have such a good foundation yet no will to move past my own issues? Story 40. No one will hire me for some reason I am unaware of. I have no family support and I have no vehicle. I would love to lose weight, but the process takes a long time due to my current situation. There is a negative public sentiment towards the transgender community. I have no degrees, no marketable skills, and I struggle with a short attention span. I am 45 years old with a poor work history. I was diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder at the age of 20. I also have extensive post-traumatic stress disorder. There may be other issues I cannot think of right now. Story 41. Self-doubt, fear of discomfort, and tough decisions that seem significant can be daunting. The possibility of making mistakes and regretting them later adds to the pressure. Story 42. A combination of fear to begin something new that might fail and constantly making jokes will eventually lead to a situation where one might slip up and jeopardize my career. Story 43. My lack of self-confidence and self-worth prevents me from asking out the girl I really like and finding a new job. Story 44. Chronic obsessive-compulsive disorder makes doing anything painful because I get so caught up on every final detail that I can't make progress. Story 45. Money, probably millions of dollars. Drum corps are not cheap to start and even more expensive to maintain, especially if it is a free admission event. Story 46. Time. Most people would say money, which is true since we all need it to do the things we want. However, the average person has to work long hours to earn that money, and by the time they finish, there is little time left to enjoy it. Therefore, I value time. I can earn money, but I cannot create the time to do the things I want to do with it. Story 47. Time. I scrolled and didn't see this once, so I had to add it. Money is great, but you can't buy time. Story 48. Worrying too much about what others think or about doing things perfectly is related to putting other people's needs before my own. This is not as noble as people make it out to be. Story 49. The life I desire is a fantasy. It does not exist. I am parking my car in front of my mansion before heading to Monaco, where I win millions at roulette before going to my hotel room filled with models. It is unrealistic. Living is about being in the moment, embracing the good with the bad, and being your best self. Anyone who is upset about not being a millionaire or not owning an expensive sports car is wasting the time they have. Story 50. I do not have a college degree because I cannot afford to work part-time, and it would take me 10 years to obtain one while working part-time. I struggle to manage full-time work, full-time school, and self-care. Story 51. Sadly, after having my child, I developed a chronic health condition. No amount of money can cure me, and even though I spend a lot on coping and my care, my quality of life is poor. I'm trying so hard to be the best mom, wife, and professional while still working part-time. But I miss my life before I had symptoms of illness. Life can be really challenging sometimes. Story 52. My body has led me to discover another life that I could desire, or at least something good enough, and that is what I have. Story 53. Drinking excessively, feeling miserable, and lacking financial resources are all interconnected. I acknowledge this, but I can be quite stubborn. Additionally, I struggle with self-promotion and completing projects. Story 54. The only thing I do not have but would like is something to really stop my migraines. I have had them almost every day for a year now that Emgality stopped working after my body became immune to it. Otherwise, my life is exactly the way I want it. Story 55. Meeting a great girl makes me feel like I can manage other aspects, but that part is just not present. Story 56. Deep-rooted shame stemming from my religious upbringing tells me that pursuing my desires means turning my back on the promises I have made. Story 57. Nobody has figured out necromancy yet. I am content with my life, but I wish my father was still alive. Story 58. It's too late now, I tell myself. The real reason is that I lived in survival mode for so long that I don't know what I truly want. I wish I knew how to figure it out. Story 59. Being in the first year of my degree and not being proficient in a complex language will come with time. Story 60. I can't seem to end my relationship with my devoted and loving girlfriend, who, although somewhat dull, has been good enough to keep around. I'm unsure how to leave without hurting her feelings, so I have stayed for 4.5 years. She was wonderful during the pandemic, watching TV with me, but now that it is over, she still spends her time at home watching television. We have had a few dinner dates, gone to some theater shows, and traveled a bit, but that's about it. My weekends are incredibly boring. The fear of being alone is even worse. I also fear having a child with defects or the possibility of harming a future girlfriend or wife. I worry about the fear of failure and success. Additionally, I feel anxious about potentially having to overthrow the government too soon. Story 61. I wish I didn't notice people around me as much as I do. I'm hyper-aware, and it makes me very anxious. Story 62. Skill in writing and the funds to have someone edit it. I don't understand why I can't seem to proofread my own stories in books. Story 63. I've held off because I'm worried about becoming bored after buying all the equipment. I have limited space in my apartment and not enough time. I would need money to hire a studio and gather the equipment, and I would need time off to fully commit to the process. Ultimately, I think I'm just not inspired and a bit lazy when it comes to pursuing what I believe I want to do. Story 64. Lack of community, capitalism, bigotry, apathy, bystanders, consumerism. I often wish I could sleep for a week at a time. Story 65. It is the constant hope, tracking, testing, and disappointment that makes it hard to move forward with anything else. I am trying to build the life I want, one with a family, but my body and hormones are not cooperating. It is exhausting both physically and emotionally. Story 66. Children are wonderful human beings, and none of this is their fault. However, having them requires a great deal of time and effort. Do I love them and would do anything for them? Yes. Do I sometimes wish I never had them? Yes. Story 67. I have a significant challenge in finding love. I would like a husband or at least a boyfriend who desires to be with me as much as I want to be with him. I also want children. In my late 30s, these two main goals are preventing me from living the life I have envisioned. I know that being married with kids is not perfect, but I feel it is something I deserve. Story 68. Losing weight is one priority, and paying off credit card debt is another. I considered working with Amazon Flex to help pay it down, but I have reconsidered that plan. Story 69. Money and that one trick a generic wealthy individual will teach you that financial firms don't want you to know hasn't worked yet. Story 70. I decided to take care of others instead of my own wants and needs. I have a decade's worth of time with nothing to show for it. I have less in my 30s than I did in my 20s. Put yourself first and don't settle, or you might end up like me. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.